Hey guys, how's everyone doing? Good, good. Yeah, good to hear. We're gonna wait a couple minutes and we'll get started. Eric, what's up?
Howdy, Carson. Howdy, everybody.
All right. Well, the chime of Healy Hall means that it's 9 o'clock. So I'll start it off. So welcome back, everybody. I'm sure a couple more people will come in as we go, but might as well get started. So I hope everyone had a great time doing their 5-minute favors and friendlies and was I'm thinking did all this stuff this week. And reached out to Eric's connections. Sorry, just blinked a little. But this week we're going to be doing a lot of the same. We have a quick lecture, chat from Eric based on the activities from the videos he sent out yesterday and I sent out on Friday. And so I hope you guys all watch them. But first, we're going to do a little around the horn. I'll be calling out names, kind of like I did last week when we introduced ourselves. What I would like you guys to talk about is just something cool that happened this week regarding your 5-minute favors, or maybe some connection regarding your book. I'll sort of begin. And if you want to remind us of your topics too, as we're going, you don't have to go into a whole spiel, but just a quick blurb about them. So mine's about the startup pit stop, people that are first in startups before they're going into their own startup. And a lot of people I'm looking at are high growth startups. And I've been really, really dying to find somebody who's in who started at a startup that eventually became a big ass company and then went into their own startup, because it's really hard to find those kind of people. And but then I was talking to some entrepreneur residents at Georgetown, and they just blindly told me that they have a friend who was employee number 11 in Facebook, and then went on to start their own company. So I chatted with her, got her email, and hopefully I'll be talking to them soon. But that was really exciting for me. So I'll just if you have a cool story to tell, 30, 45 seconds, I'll just go in the order I see on screen. So Zach Henkin.
Cool. Hey everyone. So my book is about the role of mentors in the lives of entrepreneurs who have created businesses that are helping people from disadvantaged backgrounds. And really cool thing that happened for me this week is I reached out to the CEO of the company that I interned for this last summer, and they were able to connect me to the actual founder of the company that I was working for this last summer, which I had a really positive experience at, and then someone on their board who is the founder of IDEO.org, which is gonna be really cool. So I was excited about that.
It's awesome.
That's sweet. Yeah. All right. Next, we'll go to Peyton.
Hey everyone, my name's Peyton. I'm currently writing a book on eating local and the whole idea of the local food movement called being a localvore. And last weekend, I was on my way to a debate tournament with my team at Moorpark College, and my buddy who I debate with, my actual partner, I was telling him about my book, and he was like, yeah, that sounds awesome. My dad is a farmer. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, he grows food at a farm. And I'm like, wait, that's so cool. I would love to talk to him. So I've been talking with him this week, and I'm going to interview his dad pretty much with all the great things I've learned in your videos. So
awesome.
That's a little story for you guys.
Cool. Random. Who knew that someone so close to you, God, they'd be perfect. It's awesome.
It's awesome. Yeah. It's the beauty of living in Moorpark. I have farms all around me. So
Awesome. Now go to Samantha.
Unmute. Sorry. So yeah, this week I am writing about sexual assault. So this topic has been very prevalent in the media, and was actually down in DC on Thursday. So got to talk to a lot of people that were very excited about the book topic, and have a bunch of interviews lined up with some really passionate people. So I'm really excited about that.
Awesome.
That's great. All right, now we'll go with Julia.
Hi, my topic is on a little bit in between a mental health and vulnerability. I'm still through interviews too. I want to shape my topic a little bit more, but I hope this happens. So Katie, actually, O'Connell, I was talking to her about somebody that I wanted to interview, and she suggested to reach out to our leadership department. And I reached out to one of our professors, and he might be able to connect me to Kevin Love, and I really hope he can.
Wow.
Because I really hope that works. He emailed me back and said draft a letter, but Kevin Love is huge in the mental health realm. He just started an organization with it as well, and I'm in Cleveland, so if he wants to meet up for a 15-minute interview, but I'm hoping that goes well. But I also got some interviews with some people who started some nonprofits for mental health, and some entrepreneurs that I've wanted to talk to before, but never thought I had a reason to talk to them. But now I'm super excited. I just hope this Kevin thing goes well. So
can we all come with you?
Yeah, I hope it happens. Even if it's over the phone, I'm like, I'll invite everyone into the room.
Please.
That'd be an awesome picture. He's like 6'10", so.
I know. I'm hoping it happens.
Awesome. All right, next we'll go to Katie.
Can't hear you.
Yeah, we can't hear you, Katie. Might be your headphones. We'll come back to you. Let's go with Maggie.
Hey guys, I'm writing about addiction and recovery in America, and this week was rough because of the Brett Kavanaugh stuff for me. So I did a little bit of like accidental finding of people. I'm on the field hockey team here, and I was in the athletic trainer's office, and one of my friends who works in the office, I was talking to her. I was like, what'd you do this summer? She's like, yeah, I just did a lot of stuff, on the truck. I was like, what truck? And she's like, I'm an EMT. And I was like, oh, do you see a lot of overdoses and like, addicts and stuff like that? And she's like, yeah, I have to carry Narcan on me at all times.
Wow.
And I wanted to know, like I asked her, I said, would you be willing to talk to me about like the type of training you get with Narcan and stuff like that? Because there are there's a lot of discussion around it. There's a lot of, pros and cons. And I thought it would be really cool to talk to someone who's up close and personal. She also said that she sees more heroin in Boston, but more meth in DC. So I was interested in kind of the differences between cities. So it turns out I have a friend that is definitely interested in helping me, which is really great.
That's cool.
Awesome. Yeah, that's sweet. Next, we'll go with Zach Olson. That should work, I think.
Okay, Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
All right. So my book's about firefighting and medicine, the intersection between those two things. And so I guess one of the cool things that happened to me this week was, of the emails that I sent out, like 5 of them got back to me within an hour. And that was really cool.
It's cool.
Yeah, that is pretty sick.
It's weird how when you reach out saying I'm writing a book, how people are much more receptive and like, hey, can I just like get together and do an informal interview or whatever? Like suddenly change. That's cool.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Next we'll go with Jason. Is he ready? Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Okay, hey everybody. Good night. So I'm writing a book on Gen Z marketing in Latin America. And a cool thing that happened this week, actually, I got in contact with an old family friend, and he turned out to be the managing partner at iHeart Latino. So that's a really big guy to interview in terms of the Latin American market and how they are just nurturing it on the rise of the U.S. So definitely an interesting conversation in the next couple of weeks.
It's cool.
Awesome. That's sweet. Now we'll go with Alex. You ready?
Hello, is this? Sorry, Alex is a common name, so I never react the first time.
Very good.
So, hi guys, I'm writing my book about political advisors and how they, their influence in politics. And something cool that happened this week. Couple things. I tweeted at President Macron, who's actually just above me. I have a poster of him in my room. His advisor for his campaign. She tweeted. She was very happy because she got like 300,000 followers, and she thanked everyone. And so I tweeted at her, thanking her for her cool tweets and everything, and she liked my tweet, so that was a pretty cool start. I also got in touch with people from my internship 2 summers ago, and one of the guys on the board there is a very famous political advisor in the UK called Alistair Campbell. He was Tony Blair's advisor, so I was thinking of maybe trying to work that relationship. And then the last thing, most important thing that happened this week that was really cool is I finally connected on LinkedIn with Professor Coaster. So that was really awesome.
Yes. It's a big day. Yeah. I debated whether to accept you back, but finally I decided to do it.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right. And for the people that have come a little late, just let you know what we're doing. We're just talking about like a cool story that's happened this week from your 5-minute favors or like just anything really. So next we'll go to Isaiah.
Yeah, so this week I was really focusing on just writing. I have 2 stories that I had from before because I started this process previously, and I was like editing those stories and kind of reorganizing them so they would work a little bit better. And I reached out to I know Jay Jones. I've been trying to work with Ross Baraka, the mayor of Newark. And also, like, just to give more background, the book that I'm writing is about economic prosperity in the Black community. So the people that I'm reaching out to are right now, like, political people mostly that have created some type of policies about that topic.
Awesome. That's great. Next, we'll go to Rachel.
Yeah, I'm sorry for my voice. I went to a concert yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
I reached out first to a friend of a friend who works in HR at Refinery 29, and I plan on writing my book in something between the health and the hiring space, like management space. And she responded really quickly, and I figured out that she lives in my building, and I like bumped into her 3 times. I was like, oh great, I'd like to interview you after October 1st. She's like, great, like October, whatever, we're gonna interview you. And then I bumped into her like 4 times this week. So
that's funny.
I guess I'll have a lot of follow-up questions.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Great. Now we'll go with Grace next. I know she said she was on her phone, but
yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good. Mm.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, I actually just talked to one of my professor today, and he's the judge of the Third Circuit Court of Appeal, and so I'm writing books about I'm planning to interview judges just to look at their career and then how they got to become where they are right now. And we talked, and to connect that to partisanship or bipartisanship. And we talked for, I don't know, like half an hour about like politics and law. And we actually agreed on a lot of things. And he is very excited about the topic. So yeah, I'm hoping maybe he can also introduce me to other of his colleagues if he can. So that would be awesome.
That's cool.
That's great. Yeah, that's sweet. Next, we'll go with Amanda.
Hey, I'm Amanda. So I'm writing my book on the intersection of adventure, endurance sports, and sort of non-traditional lives. And I was sort of surprised this week that none of my friendlies got back to me. But even more surprising was that the one person who did get back to me was I sort of reached out to this guy on a limb. He had presented at my sister's school. Basically, he just broke a world record. He's the youngest person to row across the Atlantic. It took him 2 months in this canoe-type boat. But he got back to me, and he's like super excited to talk to me about that. So I'm really interested to see how this will go. And I'm hoping it'll help me narrow my topic a little bit more so that I can then reach out in a more clear and concise way to the other people that I plan to get in contact with.
Oh, that's wild. That's awesome. All right. Next we'll go with Kelsey.
everyone. So my book is on remote careers and how working remotely can be a huge benefit to employees. So I started out just doing a ton of research on companies that offer this type of benefit to their employees now. And I've found that a huge healthcare company not only offers this benefit, but I actually have gotten to know the daughter of one of the board members of this healthcare company really well during my time at Georgetown. So I just thought it was kind of cool to see how my existing connections could be so prevalent in this topic that I just started to become really interested in. So I'm looking forward to seeing if I can connect with him in an interview.
Cool.
Oh, that's sweet. Cool, cool. Now we'll go to Andrea.
Nope.
I can't hear you, Andrea. Sorry. Now, yeah, we can't hear you. Sorry. We'll come back to you in a second. We'll go to Drew.
I'm writing about the opioid epidemic, specifically how sports injuries can lead to an addiction to opioids. And actually something that happened this week that was pretty cool is I got in touch with LeBron James's personal doctor. And I'm going to be interviewing him. Hopefully get some cool stories out of that.
Cleveland should be here, yeah.
Yeah. That's sweet. All right. And then we'll go to Will.
Hey guys. So my book's mainly about mindfulness and business. So a lot of people actually at Georgetown have started a business. So I've been reaching out to a lot of them. But the big thing was I was talking to my dad and just telling him about the book. And he actually knows someone pretty high up at IBM that studied meditation in India with a mentor. So I'm really excited to try to get in touch with her and learn how that experience has really affected her, business career.
That's awesome. That's great. Then we'll go to our people whose microphones weren't working. Katie.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, you were working now. Yeah.
So my working topic is cultivate community, and this week what I found was interesting is when I was scrolling through news feeds and stuff, I started to see so many things connect to my topic, and I even had some articles Eric sent me one. I had a friend who not even knowing this was my topic completely connected to what I was doing, and then I started kind of sharing those articles on social media and got some leads from that, so that was cool.
It's cool.
That's sweet, yeah. And then last but not least, Andrea.
Nope.
No, not working. Sorry. Hopefully for next week it'll work. But all right, great. So yeah, around the horn, this is gonna be a really cool thing we're gonna try and do most weeks. So if something cool happens your week, try and take it down so you can talk about it. I mean, hopefully get you guys thinking about other people's topics. It's awesome to hear that you're all meeting really cool people. Hopefully that continues. I'm sure it will. All right, so now I'm going to turn it over to Eric for a short presentation before we start getting into some more activities. So yeah, take it away, Eric.
Yeah, and I think the first thing I'll say is part of the reason we'll do this is if you could help someone else, do it. Pay it forward. It's really, really neat to say, oh gosh, my uncle could help you in these sorts of ways. So help each other out. It's karma is very valuable. So that's awesome. And the one other thing I'll say is I sent all of you a set of people in my network that hopefully can be helpful to you. Listen, I'm happy that I'll tell you the following thing. This is the one thing that Carson, who's worked with about 40 or 50 or 60 authors now, know. The most important thing is to help people get out of the gate, get excited, get enthusiastic. So if you feel like you're kind of struggling to get people, hit me up and I'm happy to introduce you to more people. That is really the core thing. So I don't know, do you have the slides or do you want to play the slides, Carson, or just want me to talk?
Yeah, give me 1 second.
So I'll just talk because you're pulling up the slides. But I think the one biggest thing that I would share with all of you is, I sent you a few things. I'll talk about kind of two quick things. One is about getting out of the gate fast. And the second thing that I'll share with you tonight is a little bit about how to kind of start to think about interviews and then what you'll be doing tonight. And then I'll duck out of here. So no worries. So I think the first thing is the first month is critical. I think this is the last slide, Carson, but we'll go. There you go. So the first thing I'll say is, me too. It's exciting to hear this stuff. I get really fired up to hear you guys making magic here. And what I love about hearing it is all of you are kind of like enthused and excited. And this process there's going to be weeks when you're going to hate this fucking book, but hopefully the overall momentum will keep you going. So go and go to the next slide, Carson. I think the core thing that I will share with you about writing a book and getting through this process is, I think you're still going. I think you're too far along. But
I know I'm lagging. Sorry.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect. Just right there is perfect. So start strong, I think, is the core thing that I would say. Get your 5-minute favors going. You're going to find random cool things are going to happen to you. The first month, we really want you to hit these things. Try and get your 45-minute favors done, because you'll be surprised at cool stuff that will happen. Schedule 10 to 12 interviews. That's the goal of this first bit. So try and get those numbers scheduled. The more, the better. I will tell you, anyone that winds up having about 15 or so plus interviews that they finish in the first 2 months, those people, about 98% of them are approved or pre-approved for publishing. So that's a really, really good sign. And then what you heard of Katie talking about with kind of like finding articles, interesting people, keep identifying other people that you're like, listen, I don't have, I'm probably not going to get to such and such person maybe, but I'd love to be able to probably profile them one way or the other. So if you see articles, collect those sorts of things. And the last thing is when you start doing interviews next week, make sure you record them. I'll tell you a little bit more about it and how to transcribe them. But you're going to find the pace will pick up. So make sure you record things as best you can. And I'll talk a little bit more about that one. The goal should be to think about trying to get about 3 to 4 hours per week of dedicated to your book. That can be before this session, that can be after it, but try and put in that time. It'll help you stay really strong on pace and keep you out of the gate. You can go to the next slide. So this week you're going to start to do interviews. Some of you will start to do these first ones this week, and I'm going to start out by saying you're probably going to suck at them right away. It's a hard process to do, and I will tell you, you will feel like this was terrible. It didn't work very well, but it's okay. It'll get better. Again, go in to try and improve. So here's the core sort of high level techniques for you to think about. Number 1, talk less. If you find yourself talking more than about 30% of the time, you're doing it wrong. You should be always asking more questions, getting them to pull out of them. Not everyone's going to make for a great interview, but try and talk less. Number 2, don't tell them too much about what your book's about. So I'm going to pick on Peyton here, for example. Don't try and over-explain what your book's about, because you don't want to tell them too much. Just say, listen, it's really early. I'm just trying to explore this sort of locavore movement at this point, but I don't have a lot of information. Just tell me stuff, right? So don't try and tell them, well, I'm going to do this, that, and the other. Here's what I think about it. Because if you do that, then they're going to want to debate your topic versus tell you what they think. So don't try and over-explain. Prepare. Go out and try and pull things that you see from them that you want to cover, and avoid phone calls if you can. The best way that you can do this is a video chat or an in-person. You can do phone calls, but I'd urge you to try and do a video chat over Zoom or Skype. It's just more important. And then the last thing to remember is that if you wind up not having a very good interview or you miss something, you can always follow up afterwards with additional questions. So those are those sorts of things. So go ahead and go to the next slide, Carson. The last thing I'll say is the core things to a great interview is this. Number 1, make sure you record it. Now, people will ask, how do you record these ones? If you use Zoom or you use Skype, it's probably fairly easy to do. So I recommend Zoom if you can. If you're going to do a phone call, my advice is the following. Do your phone and put it on speakerphone. When you put it on speakerphone, then hold it next to your computer or have it be near your computer and record it in QuickTime or whatever it is right there. So do the call on speakerphone and have your computer and record it there. Now, one of the things that Carson will sort of share with you a little bit is there's a simple tool called Temi, TEMI.com, that for 10 cents a minute you can transcribe it. It's the best money you could spend. If you do an hour-long interview, it's $6 for you to transcribe it and get a pretty good transcription of it. So record all the interviews. That's the first thing. Yeah.
100%. It's very, very helpful.
Super duper helpful. So record them all so that you can transcribe it, because then you can pull whole big chunks of text out, and that's going to help you write a lot. So make sure you record it. And again, don't be a cheapskate. Spend the $6 and transcribe it. It's totally worth doing it. That's for an hour, right? For a 20-minute interview, it's $2, right? It's the best money you can spend on that one. Second thing, before you start an interview, and again, I'm just summarizing the high levels. I have more details in the videos I sent you, but take out a piece of paper and you're going to be recording it. So you don't have to like be taking tons of notes, but write 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. All right. That's all that you're going to do. Now, the reason you're going to do that is your goal in a conversation be to try and collect 3 stories from them that are kind of interesting and 3 quotes. That's it. So as you're going through, if they say something interesting, kind of just write down the time of what time it was, or write a quick note on what it is to try and get your 3 stories and your 3 quotes. Again, you might get 1 quote, you might get 3 stories, you might get 1 story, who knows what you'll get, but that should be the goal, of just to try to get them to tell interesting stories. Third
question.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when you're talking about like getting the 3 stories and 3 quotes, should we tell them about that beforehand, or should we just like let it come naturally?
It's a good question, Isaiah. I mean, I would sort of say like, listen, one of the key things I'm trying to get is really interesting stories and interesting quotes to use in the book. So you can certainly try and preempt that and say that one. The other thing that I'll tell you leads into this one is the OAE technique. So OAE leans into that problem, because even if you tell someone, hey, I want you to tell me stories, most people are pretty shitty at telling stories. Like, they're just not very good at it. And you've done a few interviews already, Isaiah, so right? People aren't naturally good storytellers. So you can lean into this, and that most people want to give you their opinions. And so here's what I would recommend to do this way. Like, you could tell them, hey, I'm looking for stories, but they're still not going to get it. So if you walk into an interview kind of with, say 3 to 8 core subjects you want to tell them, start out by asking their opinion. Hey, listen, Isaiah, I'd love to get your opinion on sort of the state of, the sneaker game today in the NBA, right? Whatever it is. And basically you say, oh, it's really, really great. Cool. Tell me how that applies to your life. Where have you seen that apply in your life? And you're like, oh, well, listen, I'm a big fan of, I don't know, whatever it is, Nike's new shoes. I love this sort of thing right there. And you're like, cool, tell me a specific example of it. And then when you do that, they can say, oh, well, yeah, I guess there's this one time when I got this particular thing and this particular thing. So there's a natural tendency that people will want to give you their opinion. And if you just lean into it, you can wind up getting them to sort of take down this road. So if you all have seen Austin Powers, there's that moment where you have to ask 3 times to get them to tell the truth. It's kind of the same technique. You're going to ask someone to give you their opinion, tell me your opinion on this sort of thing, and then say, how does this apply to you? How have you seen that apply in your life? Again, application part. And the last one, cool, tell me a specific example or a specific time that happened. A good story will typically have a time, a date, and a location, right? A time, a date, and a location. Those are the 3 things you're sort of listening for to know you've captured a story. So OAE. And the last thing that I will say is always end these conversations with an ask. Is there anyone else that you think I should talk to? That's kind of the core things to do. So record your interviews. Try and capture 3 stories and 3 quotes if you can. That really means you've had a very successful interview. Lean into this OAE, the opinion, application, example, and then always end with an ask. And then I think I have one last thing before I'll let you guys go on with your way tonight. If you can go to the next slide, Carson. Oh, yeah, that's it. One back further than that. Sorry. So the core things, again, for this week, I think that Carson's going to take you through is continue to do your 5-minute favors. Try and get 20 more 5-minute favors out there. Again, we're going to front load a lot of this stuff because the more you put in the time right now, the more we can flip into the writing mode very quickly. So we're going to push more of this one. Try to do 20 outreaches to all the people you reached out to last week to try to connect with them for interviews. Try and reach out to 10 alums that Carson's going to walk you through tonight. And then try and reach out to 20 people who work at 10 key companies you'd like to interview someone with, and we'll use the Hunter IO technique. So I sent 3 videos last night. I think Carson's going to walk you through those things tonight. So those are the big things that I have. Again, we were going to push you hard on kind of meeting people, getting people scheduled. You're going to find that it's going to take you probably 6 months sometimes to get some of these interviews to happen. It'll just take time. Like Kevin Love's people may need some time to do it. That's okay. But the more you can front load this activity, you're going to find these things will drip and pay out. True story, there was one of the authors who reached out to someone in the very first week. Her book came out, and a week later, someone got back to her and said, hey, I was just getting back this email. Are you ready to be interviewed? And she's like, well, my book just came out last week. So weird things will sometimes happen in that way. But the more you can push this stuff to the front, the better. So any quick questions from anyone that they want to know about this stuff at all before I let you guys rock it for the rest of the night?
Yeah, anything?
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Do you have any, you kind of like touched on this a little bit, but do you have any advice on if we do, I have 2 people who I said, hey, do you have 20 minutes for an interview? And they're pretty busy, so I think they may actually take that 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any advice on how to, I don't know, not rush it? Because in my mind, I know you said we're probably going to be bad at first, but in my mind, I feel like I'm going to be like, oh, I hope I get this, this, and this, but I need to just relax about it. But do you have any advice if it does have to be really short, what you would focus on most?
Yeah, my advice is to try and go in asking them about something specific. So if there's a bigger deal person and they have some stuff out there, stories you want to hear, ask them about that story and ask them to sort of listen. So I read in your book you talked about this specific story. I wanted you to talk a little bit more about X, right? Like try and ask specific targeted questions about stories or things that you wanted to go deeper on. So if someone's sort of a big deal and you've got a limited window of time, you probably already know what stories you want them to tell. So just lean into that and try and get the details you want. Try and get a couple extra quotes behind it in that way.
Awesome.
Peyton, do you have a question?
Yeah, I was going to ask a quick question. Do I follow them on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn before I do the 5-minute favor or right afterwards?
I would do it first and then do the 5-minute favor. So my advice is to sort of follow them on all those platforms and then do a 5-minute favor. Part of the reason is it's sort of like you want them to sort of see you a bunch of times and sort of be like, oh gosh, this Peyton guy, again, it's why I would recommend making your face the same across all of these sort of platforms so they see your face a few times. But yeah, follow them on all the platforms, then do a 5-minute favor, then follow up with sort of the reach outs on LinkedIn. And again, I would recommend you don't connect with them on LinkedIn so follow them on Twitter and Instagram, do a 5-minute favor, then hit them on the LinkedIn and email.
And we have one more question for Eric before Eric has to go. It's from Amalia. Yep. It's in the chat. Do you see it, Eric?
Yeah.
Okay.
So so the question, I guess, a little bit is more clarity on the concept between application and kind of example, how you move between it. So what's going to happen is it's sort of it'll naturally play out a little bit, but it's kind of giving them 2 bites at answering the question of giving you a story. So for example, if I was to ask you a little bit, I'm going to pick on Carson. Carson, tell me your opinion on the Kansas City Chiefs, right? And Carson will probably say, oh yeah, I love the Chiefs, right? You'll say whatever it is. He loves the Chiefs. And I'll be like, oh, cool. So tell me a little bit about how the Chiefs have affected your life. And you'll be like, he'll probably say something generic, right? Which is like, oh yeah, listen, I love it. My family's gone to games a bunch of times. And they'll say, tell me a specific example of when your family went to a game. You see what I did there? So again, typically I'm going to let him talk about the Chiefs. Then I'm going to ask him to say, oh, tell me how the Chiefs have affected your life. So like a general answer, like a general sort of opinion you're going to give. How's it affected your life? And then you're going to listen for what they say. He's going to say, oh yeah, we've gone to games, or my family's been season ticket holders. Cool. Tell me about a specific game that you remember or whatever that may be. So that's kind of, again, you're going to narrow it down to, remember, you're looking for a time, a location, and a date, right? Those things. So if Carson can go back and say, oh yeah, this one particular game, you want to push them into that direction. So that's sort of the scoping of it. Sometimes they may give you enough, right? The opinion and then the application may be, oh yeah, listen, it's been really important. There was this one game we went to, but most of the time you're not going to skip that step.
Yeah, awesome. All right, well, we have a lot of activities that we need to do now that I'll guide you guys through. Eric's going to take off, but thanks for coming, Eric.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, and feel free to reach out to me at all on Quip or whatever it is. I'm always happy to answer questions, and so just feel free to converse with me. That's the best way to do it. Hit me up there and at any time, and I can be helpful. So thanks, Carson. We'll see you guys all next week. Have an awesome week.
Yeah, bye, Eric.
Bye.
All right, guys. Now my turn to run the show. So we're gonna be working a little bit on like a few things. Okay, first thing I want you guys to do, I'll demonstrate this. I want you guys to all update rooms. So go to your update room. This is my update room. You guys all have your own. And I want you to give like a little deliverable about 3 things: how many 5-minute favors you did, how many friendlies you reached out to and got back to you, and then how many of the Eric connections that he gave you, like these LinkedIn ones that he should have gave you, did you reach out to? And please be honest here. Like, even if you had 0 for all of them, we would like to know. Not a huge deal. Just hopefully you guys did them. And so I'll just the best thing I want to do is notify everyone because it'll notify everybody in the update room. Then I did 20. How many ever you did? Reach out to how many friendlies you did, and then just say yes or no whether you reached out to all the people on your that Eric gave for LinkedIn. You can use that template. It doesn't really matter. But just I'll give everyone a minute just to kind of drop it in. Yeah. If you have any questions, just let me know. It should be pretty straightforward. So drop it in your update room. I hope you guys have seen your update room.
Can you show me your screen one more time? What were the 3 things?
Sure. 5-minute favors. Tell how many you did. The goal was 20, but less or more is okay. Then we reached out to 5 friendlies, and then whether you connected with the LinkedIn people that Eric sent earlier in the week regarding your topic. So yeah.
Okay.
Just give like a minute to do that. And try and like tag at everyone if you could, so we like see it. Yeah. I see most of you are doing these.
How do I find the chat room?
Yeah. Okay. Go to your handy dandy search bar in the corner and look up your name and then update room, or just update room probably because it's probably the only one you're in. So.
Okay. Oh, got it. Thank you.
Yeah. I see some of you are finding it. That's great. And then kind of a side thing you wanted me to tell you to do, but like not a big, honestly, I don't know if we should be doing this, but basically do like update your interview dashboard for next week's 5-minute favors. I know if you have some in mind already that you want to start looking forward to, like go for it. Once again, I don't know if we ever made this really clear, but like 5-minute favors don't necessarily have to be like super attainable people. They don't have to be like, you know, you can probably get an interview with them. If you want to like, one of my 5-minute favors is to like Peter Thiel. Like I know it's very unlikely I'm going to actually interview him, but I mean, hopefully not all of them will be unattainable, but like if some of them are, that's okay too, because that's like the only way you could potentially get to them in the first place. All right, it seems like most of you are doing that. I'll just start talking about the next thing we'll do. So we're gonna, for the next like 5-10 minutes, we'll do some 5-minute favor follow-ups. What that means is that the people you reached out to, or the people you did a 5-minute favor for, whether it's on like reviewing their book on Amazon or leaving like a great review on their LinkedIn podcast or whatever it may be, I want you to do some emails for them or do LinkedIn invites. Actually, now that I think about it, let's push that off a little bit. I want to show you how to use Hunter.io. I don't know if you guys saw the video that we sent out in the update rooms, or Eric did. Hopefully you did, but if you didn't, I'll kind of show you how you use it. I'll share my screen again. You might see some like notifications from some of you guys, but so here's, all right, no, Hunter.io is just on what we want you to do is it's a really useful tool to find like anybody's email address. So you wanna create an account. I already created my account, but it's just in the corner. Strongly recommend using Google. Makes it really simple. And then what you can do with this, it's really great. Like you can look up, for example, I would love to interview Reid Hoffman. And that's one of my 5-minute favors I did too. And so you can look at the domain. He's the CEO of LinkedIn, right? You're like, you just look up his name, right? And yeah, so this is Reid Hoffman's email address, and it's just an easy find. And I could like, this is his actual email address. Unlikely he'll ever respond to me, but you basically, what you can do with this now, with the 5-minute favors, or the next people you reach out to, you can drop this into your email and be like, hey, Reed, I left a great review on your book. I would love to talk to you about your experience, that kind of stuff. Just following it up. I think in the here, let me check something. In our sessions, I put some message templates for connecting with your 5-minute favors. This is under, I don't know if you guys saw how I got here, under our sessions in the big September folder group. And if you want to navigate there, if you're looking to do this, but basically just for connecting on LinkedIn or connecting on email, these are super helpful. Strongly recommend just copy and pasting these in and changing your information. And yeah, so Hunter.io is great. And what we want you to do now is, here, I'll stop. Actually, no. We want you to basically find companies you identify with that you want to incorporate into your book somehow. For example, LinkedIn might be really great for me, but if you're doing sports, it might be great to do ESPN.com. Or if you're doing like fashion, it might be great to do like Louis Vuitton. And you can find like any email here. What we want you to do is basically look down and see if you can find some cool people that you think might be willing to reach out to people in general. Like this guy, I don't know who he is, so I'm gonna just drop him into a little Google search, see if I can find out if this guy is really cool or if he's just rando. So he's a key accounts enterprise relationship. Seems pretty legit. Seems like international. Maybe not the best example, but let's try this guy. What we want you to do the next like 10 minutes, or what I want you to do, I guess, is just kind of, see, this guy kind of looks pretty cool. So what I want you to do the next 10 minutes is basically identify companies that you want to do in your search, and go to Hunter.io and start looking up emails and find 2 people per company for like 10 companies. I know it sounds like a lot. You don't have to do it all like right now, but and just email them with this template that you guys should all be shared into. So any questions about that? Was I clear? Might have been full.
Yeah, I have a question about, so some of the individuals I'm looking for, they're not necessarily all within the same company, because it's kind of hard to find them that way.
Yeah.
Can you search up somebody's name? Does it work the same way, or do you need a company first?
I think for Hunter.io specifically, you need a company. Maybe this Finder. Maybe this will work. But these are people different than your 5-minute favors, I should say. These are just completely random people. So hopefully nobody you've actually like experienced so far. So like another great one for me might be AngelList, like the company itself, because that's like a startup thing. And I just start looking at people that theoretically work for AngelList. Does that make sense, Isaiah?
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, cool. And like, I can't promise all these are great, and not all of them are like perfectly verified. See, as you can see, there's like confidence scores. Usually if it's above like 75%, you're probably fine. So I'll give you guys like 10 minutes. At 9:50, we'll come back and I'll have you do one last activity. But identify different companies that you want to potentially look at. So I'll stop my sharing so I can do it. And just ask any questions as they come up. Hopefully you guys are finding cool companies. Yeah.
Hey, I have a question.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you probably said this, but it just like totally went past me. So you know how you have to put in like a domain?
Mm-hmm.
How do you do that if you're just kind of trying to look up a name of a person?
Yeah. So honestly, not sure. But it usually should come up. Here, I'll go back to sharing my screen.
Like, for example, if I'm trying to figure out who I could talk to at Purdue Pharma, who's like facing like a shit ton of lawsuits about the opioid epidemic.
So like, okay, I see what you're saying. So if you already have the domain, then it's not really that tough, I guess. So like what I was saying, right, you go to right here, find somebody, and then you can this like, yeah, I don't really know a lot of people worked in LinkedIn, but like sometimes this won't come up as verified. It'll come up as a confidence score. As long as it's above 70%, like it's probably right. But yeah, that's the best way to do it.
That sounds
Whereas,
good.
yeah, and just to repeat for Isaiah and those who are thinking like that, I'm not exactly 100% sure how you find people like without knowing their company domain, but yeah, I'm sure you can probably figure it out. But definitely just try and find people that based on the company for a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, one of your deliverables for this week will be you're going to be reaching out to a lot of people this week, so I hope you guys are up for it. But it'll be reaching out to 20 people at those 10 companies based on what you found on Hunter.io. If they don't get back to you, it's like not a huge deal. Because I mean, I know I'm going to be reaching out to like some big fish, so I'm sure they're probably not going to be able to. But don't be afraid. Like that's the point of Hunter.io is to find random people's emails. Yeah. Yeah, so I hope you guys are doing that. We'll give it a couple more minutes. Yeah, but don't like stress. You don't have to like email like 20 CEOs right now or anything. You just try and compile some emails. This is also super useful later on as you guys are starting to like develop your topic and see some more people you want to interview. So yeah. I'll talk while you're still doing this. So definitely a big thing that I want you guys to do this week is make sure you like email and LinkedIn connect with all the people you do your 5-minute favors yet. If you haven't yet, I know I haven't emailed most of mine. You can start setting up interviews basically whenever. You now have all like the tools and stuff. Make sure you're really using your interview dashboard. You can add from it, you can take away, you can use it however you want, but like make sure you're keeping track of it there, at least letting us know when you're scheduled or doing the interviews. So yeah, feel free. You have all the tools now, so feel free to start reaching out. Eric's right, like definitely try and start strong. If you have a solid 15 interviews like by the end of October, then you're absolutely golden. So I hope you guys start doing that. Yeah. And yeah, I'll give like another minute or so, and then we'll go to the next activity. These are, I mean, sorry, it's going to take a little long. These are very, very important though. So. Okay. Yeah, I think that's probably good. All right. The last thing I want, and I have to hold you guys to make sure you guys do this because it's very important. But I'll share. To make sure that you start reaching out to like some people that you might not think of, but could be really great connections for you. So this was also another video that Eric sent, but we want you to start reaching out to like alumni. So if you go to under your search bar, like basically go to LinkedIn. You can hit the little search icon, and then from there, go to all filters. We want you to, based on where you go to school, I go to Georgetown, so I'm going to hit Georgetown, not University of Pennsylvania. And like you can do second, third, or even first if you want. I'm not going to do first because you get better results if you don't. But basically from there, just apply, and you'll start to see some really great connections start coming up, and look for people that are in your field you're looking at, right? I'm gonna start looking. A lot of it's also location based, and I'm from Kansas City, so they're gonna have a lot of people that are around there. But like if you have, I'm looking for somebody in like startups or something. If you guys are looking for sports or anything, basically, that could be really great. So a lot of these people are students. Sorry.
Carson, can you go back to the filtering page that you had up?
Yeah, so I'll tell you how to get to it. Once you have to just search anything, and then from there you go to all filters, and then at the bottom it has schools, Georgetown. Yeah, you might as you can see, I'm kind of being swamped by like people that actually go to Georgetown. But if you do second or third connection, that usually will get rid of it. I'm gonna do third connection just because I don't have a ton of connections anyways, so it'll hopefully get some good results. Yeah, that's
awesome. Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah. So let me see if I can. And what we want you to do from this is sorry, I'm really having a hard time finding somebody. This is kind of like how it's for 5-minute favors. It's tough to find people in your specific field. But what I want you to do with this is send one of these messages in this template here. From here, hi, want to connect. I'm writing a book about whatever, and I want to chat in the coming weeks. And then from there, port over to Hunter.io or wherever I put it, and then find. Yeah, I was looking at Peter Thiel, but then find wherever they work for, and like try and from there like email them with the same template. So we're gonna work on that for a bit. please reach out to your alumni. These are really great, great resources because they'll almost always talk to you because they definitely, they have like a special connection, Also, Eric sent, in the update room sent a video on these, so on how to do this process again in case you forget. But this is definitely like something very helpful. So I'm gonna stop sharing. I'm gonna keep you guys like a couple minutes late because I want to make sure you do this. So we'll stop at like 10:03, and then I'll say my goodbyes. And so I'll give you about 10 minutes. So please start doing this, making connections and stuff. So yeah. Okay, I actually found a great example to show you what I'm trying to do. So this guy is the CFO of Facebook, but he went to Georgetown undergrad with like a bachelor's of science in chemistry. So what I'm going to do is connect, add a note, and then I'm just going to take it straight. Literally straight from here. Just like, and then just port in my specifics. You can watch me do this if you want, or you can just keep doing your own thing. Hi David, you can alter your topic a little bit. You don't have to like give them the whole elevator pitch. Mine's about like working at startups before creating your own startup, and obviously this guy didn't do that, but he could definitely provide some great insight for me. Obviously, this guy's a big fish, so he might not necessarily respond to everything, but he definitely, if I got on contact with him, that'd be pretty sick. So now I'm gonna go over to Hunter.io, go to Facebook, find his name. I don't know who that is. David Winter. Yeah, so Facebook. Oh, they're hidden for privacy reasons. I guess that's a data scourge thing. Bring Cambridge Analytica, but whatever. Never mind. But yeah, in general, that's what you probably want to do. Sorry, that was kind of a stop short example, but yeah. So a couple more minutes on that. yeah, hopefully you guys you find this process of just being able to connect with completely random people kind of cool, because you definitely I've seen it with the people that some of the most successful authors get their most insightful stories from just randos, people they've never talked to in their life. And so not all these connections will get back to you, and not all of them will turn into an interview, but that's why we're doing so many. But yeah, so I guess I'm gonna give it a couple more minutes. Yeah, keep going. All right, great. So I think we'll wrap up. Let me just say my little piece before you guys depart. So yeah, I would the deliverables for next week. Just to let you know specifically is follow up with all your 5-minute favors that you did this week, however many that may be. Try and get a next 20 5-minute favors done. So hopefully pull your way up to 40. Then after that, we want you to find 20 people at those 10 companies I talked about, which through Hunter.io, and then reach out to 10 alumni from LinkedIn that we were kind of doing. So hopefully you guys started doing those, and you at least know the process how to do it. I'll remind you later in the week. I know it's a lot of people. We won't be doing this kind of stuff every week, but it's really important that we get this set now. And I know you guys might have a lot of work coming up. I know I have midterms starting this week and stuff, but I would definitely encourage you to work hard on this. Just set aside a few hours. That's what I did. Set aside a few hours and just truck through it. Definitely make sure you do that. So I'll be sending you reminders. make sure you're watching the videos that Eric sends you. I know they can be a little dry, but they're helpful. So yeah, so that's all I have. Hope you guys have a good rest of your night. Thanks for coming. And yeah, so have a good one.